अच्छा बेटा, today I am presenting the red blood cells, erythrocytes, RBCs, as well as their cell membrane. ओके, सो पहले टाइम बहुत वेस्ट हो गया है जो कनेक्टिविटी की वजह से, और दूसरी आपकी वॉइसेस आवाज इतनी शोर गाने में सुनी कि मैं तो बहुत अच्छी आपको बच्ची समझ रही थी लास्ट टाइम जो क्लास लिया था। आज तो मैंने देखा आपने गाने इतने फन, इतनी मस्ती, लेकिन कोई बात नहीं, लेट्स सी। फन के वक्त फन होता है और क्लास के वक्त क्लास। एनीवे, सो टुडे I'm discuss about the describe the structure of the RBCs and the function of RBCs, as well as cell membrane of the RBCs. These are the learning objectives of my lecture. As you all of know, the RBCs cells transports oxygen around the body. They are specialized to carry oxygen because they contain large quantities of a protein called hemoglobin, which is very important protein like heme containing the RBCs, which can bind oxygen, have a biconcave disc shape, which maximizes the surface area of the cell's membrane for oxygen to diffuse across the cell membrane. So we can say that the RBCs play a huge role into the transport of the oxygen. It's very important. RBCs are erythrocytes and they are biconcave disc cells with diameter 7.8 and thickness center. These are the different. I will told you, but the most important the features, basically the features of the RBCs are very important because sometimes हम एग्जाम में इस तरह से देते हैं, फीचर्स पे करते हैं, features of the RBCs. Alright, so features of the RBCs are sometimes that all of the RBCs are the non-nucleated biconcave disc containing hemoglobin. This is one of the feature of RBCs. And other features we can say that have no cytoplasmic organelles. These are the other type of the features. These are unable to synthesize new protein, unable to carry out oxidative reactions, so unable to undergo the mitosis. So these all are the uh, features of the RBCs. All right. So as we can say that why these are happening, the RBCs, why they are non-nucleated, why they have no any organelles of the cytoplasm, or why they are unable to synthesize new proteins. So RBC is also predominant cell types. They are responsible and transport the oxygen from lungs to the tissue. So it means that they are removed to the carbon dioxide and reserved in reverse direction. So erythrocytes like no typical structure. They have no organelles, no nucleus. They cannot regenerate. They cannot synthesize new proteins and can't use any oxygen by carrier proteins. So it means we can say that why they are happening. This is a biconcave disc-like shape. Why? Because red blood cells have adopted this character, no nucleus, for several reasons. It simply allowed the red blood cells to have more hemoglobin. Okay, and therefore it allows RBCs to transfer more oxygen. So lack of nucleus in RBCs also allow the cell to have a unique biconcave shape that helps with the diffusion. And this is also important in this regarding that erythrocytes have biconcave surface, this unique shape because of the increased surface area from the gases exchange, and because it has donut shape, जैसे हम बेकरी में खाते हैं, डोनट्स खाते हैं चॉकलेट शेप में, लेकिन वो सेंटर में बिल्कुल खाली होता है, तो ये सेंटर में फिल होता है, फुल फिल ऑफ द protein which is known as heme, means hemoglobin. So by structural protein, and this structure is bind with the some structural proteins which is known as the actin and spectrin. ठीक है, actin spectrin certain are the proteins which are responsible for the So that's why we can say that because of the lack of nuclei or nucleus and organelles as well as the mature red blood cells do not contain DNA and cannot synthesize any RNA. So what will happen? Due to this, they have limited repair capabilities and consequently cannot divide it and have a limited repair capabilities as well. So this inability to carry out protein synthesis means that no virus can evolve to target mammalian red blood cell. Mammalians means जो वो होते हैं जो दूध पिलाते हैं, ठीक है, जैसे कि एज वेल एज उनको हम ह्यूमन बींग्स भी कह सकते हैं स्पीशीज में. All right, so we can say that why they are, you can understand. I think they are not nucleated or not organelles. Although RBCs are considered cells, they are lack of nucleus, DNA, and most organelles, including endoplasmic reticulum and the mitochondria as well as. So RBCs therefore cannot divide it or replicate like other pliable cells of the body. So we can say that they also lack of components to express genesis and synthesize the proteins. Alright, as well as we can say that the SHRBCs have evolved to the protect themselves from the oxidative state, and this is the answer of which they have why they have not in role in oxidative process, because they protect themselves from oxidant stress in order to prevent oxidant damage from the reactive species. So, number second, repair oxidatively damaged protein through the mechanism that involve glutathione and the one carbon metabolism. And third one reason, they destroy irreversibly oxidized proteins through the proteasomes. You will study in also in biochemistry these mechanism of enzymes. Okay, but in nutshell, the RBC cells contain neither a nucleus nor RNA. Ribonucleic acid is necessary for the protein synthesis, so that cell division means mitosis and production of new proteins are impossible in the RBCs. So red blood cells, RBCs membrane have got some proteins, phospholipids, cholesterol molecules, carbohydrates. All of you know, uh, you already know about the cell membranes, how they work, how their the structures, and how they work physiologically according to their quantity of the protein, phospholipid, cholesterol, carbohydrate, and some others. All right. So, sorry, but I couldn't share the slides now because connectivity का issue है. But let's after lecture I will show you I will give you our PPT of the this cell membrane. All right. Suddenly कोई breakdown हुआ है यहाँ पे connectivity का this, that's why I couldn't show the slide. All right. Just I told you about the RBCs, erythrocyte, cell membrane, their mechanism, how they are work, how they have the features, and how they are the number of how they are important, how they are functioning. But I will give you the PPT at the end of lecture. Let's see, I share you PPT. Sure. So red blood cells membrane is composed of the three layers. Red blood cell membrane, three layers component of the structures. I will show you, but due to some connectivity I couldn't show now. So later on I will show the galactocalyx on the exterior, which is rich in the carbohydrates. The lipid bilayer, which contain many transmembrane proteins, besides its lipidic main constituents, and the membrane skeleton at a structural network, a protein located on inner surface of the lipid. This is the whole of the red blood cell membrane. Three layers. Number one, glycocalyx, the exterior part, and number two, the lipid bilayer, which contain many transmembrane protein. All right. And number three, the red blood cell membrane. The membrane of the human erythrocytes contain about a dozen of major proteins, which were originally identified by J. electrophoresis, a membrane preparations. So yes, we can say that the red blood cells have three layers: glycocalyx, lipid bilayer, and third one is the membrane skeletal, which is a structural network of the protein located in the inner surface of the lipid. Inner surface of the lipid, and glycocalyx is a part, exterior part, rich in carbohydrates, and lipid bilayer and other layer which contain transmembrane proteins beside its lipidic main constituents. All right. So this is the red cell membrane. And this structure, sorry, I couldn't show now due to connectivity issue suddenly. But anyway, red blood cell as well as highly elastic undergo remarkable changes in shape. I already told you the RBCs are the डोनल्ड शेप लाइक डोनल्ड्स आप जो खाते हो बेकरी पे मिलता है डोनल्ड्स मुख्तलिफ बहुत सारे फ्लेवर्स होते हैं उनके ठीक है तो वो आप टेस्ट करते हो उनका शेप देखा होगा आरबीसी का भी सेम है लेकिन वो सेंटर में भरा होता है विल द हीम so RBC cell membrane highly elastic, undergo remarkable changes in shape, and this is God gifted because of due to this shape, they sometimes squeeze and enter into the small capillaries. They sometimes this reverse to the normal shape, spring back, and again enter into the uh, big vessels, large blood vessels. So this is shape, they're highly elasticable and this elastic maintained or biconcave shape maintained by the two types of the protein, spectrin and chirin, also which is known as spectrin actin complex. Spectrin actin complex which maintains its biconcave shape and these are proteins present in the cell membrane. This is very important proteins. So, and the enzymes, some enzymes which are help due to the functioning or the maintaining the shape and the transporting the oxygen. And these are some enzymes which are very important regarding the RBCs. So these enzymes are pathway. We can say that these pathway are number one, glycolytic pathway and pentose phosphate shunt nutrition and carbonic anhydrase transport of the carbon dioxide as well as glutathione reducing agent. These are also the enzymes which are present in the RBCs. So red blood cells transports the oxygen. The main function of red blood cells is transport the oxygen. The cell surface membrane contains cytoplasm. Cell surface membrane contains the proteins which maintain the shape, and cytoplasm contain the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein which carry the oxygen molecules, and cytoplasm have no nucleus, allow more uh, room for the hemoglobin. So this shape increase surface area over which absorption of the oxygen can occur. And this is shape also. Look at diagram. When you see the diagram of the RBC, sometimes squeeze, and this is beneficial for they increase their surface area and in which they more absorption of the oxygen can occur. So yes, we can say that the uh, functions of RBCs are they transport oxygen from the lungs to the tissue in the body as well as they carry carbon dioxide from the body to the tissue, the lungs, as well as role of the RBCs in the blood clotting, and as well as they contain the hemoglobin that acts as a buffer. So we can understand the transport oxygen from lungs to the tissue, carry carbon dioxide from the body to the tissue, the lungs, but they have the blood clotting. Blood clotting, how they are the blood clotting, the role of the RBCs. We can say that RBCs contribute is RBCs contributes thrombosis by their viscosity effects and by the margination of the platelets to the wells. However, in addition, the simple viscosity effect of RBC also supporting the thrombosis because in summary RBCs contributes thrombosis and by their viscosity. So their effects and the margination of the platelets to the walls walls of the RBC. So, however, in addition, we can say that simple viscosity effects of RBCs supporting the thrombin. So that's why we can say that's the role of the RBCs one in the blood clotting, as well as contribute as a hemoglobin act as a buffer. बेस्ट एक्ट बफर जो होता है बॉडी में हमारे वो होता है किडनी बेस्ट बफर जो हम बीसीक्यू शब्द देखते हैं तो बेस्ट बफर which are organ of the body act like we can say that kidney is the best buffer acting like an organ. So and thyroglobin buffer. All right, next we can say that as well as RBCs, oxygen from pulmonary alveoli, then hemoglobin, and hemoglobin then binds to the oxygen and then go carry to the hemoglobin in the blood, carry oxygen from lungs to the rest of tissue, and then finally red blood cells carry of carbon dioxide back from the tissue to the lungs as well as oxygen released to the cells. So again, we can say that same functions and oxygen bounded with hemoglobin. When you will read the hemoglobin dissociation curve and respiration, this is also same red blood cells, oxygen from the lungs, hemoglobin molecules carry, and again oxygen bound with hemoglobin molecules, and then oxygen released to the tissue. This is a process of the oxygen transport into body, body to the tissue, tissue to the lungs due to the RBCs. So RBCs needs energy for the three purpose basically. uh, RBCs have no nucleus. RBCs have no mitotic division, no any organelles, no any cytoplasm. But RBCs have ATPs. But RBCs have proteins. RBCs have hemoglobin. RBCs have antin and chirin. So they keeps to iron in the hemoglobin. We can say that keeps to the iron in hemoglobin in various form. And number two, we can say that keeps potassium high and low inside the cells. And we can say that the third one for maintaining the biconcave shape of the RBCs. So RBCs needs energy for three purpose: keeps iron in hemoglobin in various form, keeps potassium high and low inside the cell, and third one for maintaining the biconcave shape of the RBCs. So red blood cells protein mainly hemoglobin in the center, plasma membrane, biconcave disc 7 to 8 micrometer and thickness 1.5 to 2.5 micrometer. All right, and female RBCs count 4.7 per cubic millimeter and male RBCs count 5.2 per cubic millimeter. And the lifespan of RBCs, we can say that from 100 to 120 days. You can say that 120 days. As all of you know, the RBCs, Dr. Kincher told you about the erythropoiesis. Erythropoiesis is a means process in which the production of RBCs, okay, with the help of erythropoietin hormone, which released from the kidney. So the erythropoiesis basically when there are many stages, but first time they product erythropoiesis in the yolk cells, then into the spleen and lymph nodes, then into the after birth their bone marrow. Production of RBCs, hemoglobin, erythropoiesis in the bone marrow after the birth. So you can say here the see why they are more hemoglobin in male or more RBCs in male than the female. Why? There are basic main reason behind that, uh, which are the like as you know the erythropoietin hormone is released from the kidney and the mainly this release basic release of the erythropoietin is hypoxia. Basic stimulus is hypoxia. Hypoxia is a basic stimulus. Hypoxia is a basic stimulus which release the from the kidney by the help of erythropoietin is a basically hormone which released from the kidney with the help of stimulus of the hypoxia. As all testosterone hormone is significant in male. Testosterone hormone significant male, and there are legend types of the cells present in the testes. They are they have need more oxygen. They are hypoxic. Their metabolic rate is very high. Due to their metabolic rate is very high, what will happen? They need the more oxygen. It means tissue becomes hypoxic. This hypoxic stimulus go to the where this hypoxic go to the where सेंटर कहाँ पे जाएगा बेटा किडनी में स्टिमुलस जाएगा और वहां से आपका इरिथ्रोपोइटिन रिलीज होगा सो बेसिकली मैकेनिज्म क्या है you can say that the basic mechanisms why RBCs or hemoglobin are more in the males, it is because of the main reason there are testosterone hormone is more in the male, and due to this hormone why their cells legend cells are become um, more hypoxic due to metabolic rate is more high, and due to hypoxia this is a normal phenomena, this is normal phenomena, physiological phenomena. So and there are due to more hypoxia, this hypoxia stimulus go to the kidney, and kidney release more and more erythropoietin hormone. More erythropoietin hormone release, their erythropoiesis process occur more, and that's why the more production of RBCs present in the or production of hemoglobin in the male. No any menstrual cycle role, no any the role of the males is work out more than the females, no any reason, only the reason hypoxia. Testis cells, legend cells are more hypoxic. जैसे आपने देखा होगा पहाड़ी पे जो रहते हैं हाई एल्टीट्यूड पे रहते हैं वहां पे हाइपोक्सिया ज्यादा होती है, इट्स नॉर्मल फिजियोलॉजिकल रीजन। एंड वहां पे हाइपोक्सिया होती है तो वो पिंक होते हैं, चेरी होते हैं, रेड होते हैं, पोलीसाइथीमिया होती है, उनमें ज्यादा रे आरबीसीज होती है। पोलीसाइथीमिया मींस नंबर ऑफ आरबीसीज मोर देन द नॉर्मल। पोलीसाइथीमिया होती है तो वो क्यों होती है? हाइपोक्सिया की वजह से। मेल में भी होती है, फीमेल में भी होती है ड्यू टू हाइपोक्सिया। हाइपोक्सिया होती है हाई एल्टीट्यूड पे तो वो उनका एरिथ्रोपोइटिन रिलीज ज्यादा होता है, एरिथ्रोपोइसिस ज्यादा होती है, दैट्स व्हाई this is a basic mechanism to the production of RBCs, hemoglobin more in the male comparatively female. As well as आपने देखा होगा प्रेगनेंसी में, pregnant lady other physiological example, pregnant lady have more needs, demands उनकी बढ़ जाती है due to the fetus, so she becomes more hypoxic क्योंकि उनका मेटाबॉलिक रेट भी हाई हो जाता है फीमेल्स का when she will pregnant. So that's why the more production of the erythropoiesis process occur in the pregnant lady as well as those who live in high altitude as well as in male. These are the normal physiological reasons in which the more production of erythropoiesis, more formation of RBCs, more formation of hemoglobin in the three persons: male, high altitude living, and the pregnant lady. These are physiological reasons due to the hypoxia, and hypoxia is the basic stimulus. Alright, so that's why more in the ये आपने काउंट नंबर ऑफ याद रखने हैं, मेल में कितने होते हैं, फीमेल में कितने होते हैं, ठीक है. और reason I already told you why the reasons more in the male. So hematocrit is also part the packed cell volume. Dr. Kinger already told you, and as well as in hemoglobin, we can tell you the in detail packed cell volume. So it is present volume of the blood in the whole blood. Packed cell volume basically किसको कहते हैं? It is a percentage or percent volume of the blood cells in a whole blood. एंड नॉर्मल वैल्यूज गाइटन में आपकी सारी लिखी हुई है, सबकी मेल 40 to 52% होती है, एवरेज 46% होती है, एंड इन फीमेल हेमेटोक्रिट वैल्यू 39 to 47% होती है, एवरेज 43% होती है. So these percentage are you will see values from the Guyton in Hall book, and most sufficient Guyton in Hall book is a very easy and textbook for the undergraduate students, as well as you can review the monos physiology, you can other share with whatever you will want to easily catchable, and as well as you can understand, but most important in Guyton in Hall. So these are processed erythropoiesis, RBCs, hemoglobin production in the bone marrow. So we can say that the after birth, these are production of the cells in the bone marrow. Even white blood cells, RBCs, hemoglobin, pluripotential stem cells is known as the bone marrow. So bone marrow is the one of the largest organ of the body where formation of the all cells of our body. So RBCs, platelets, most of the WBC formed here in the bone marrow. So they are the different names, potential stem cells. When you will read the hemoglobin, the deficiency of hemoglobin, where are the production of hemoglobin. So and some other lectures we will tell you. So that's why, and anemia is very important. Why they when they decline the all cells normally decrease the all cells in the bodies, or in sometimes of the cells red blood cells decrease, sometimes platelets decrease, sometimes our WBC decrease. So sometimes many types of the anemias like aplastic anemia, like the uh, iron deficiency anemia, like the megaloblastic anemia. There are the different most type of anemia. Anemia will tell you that on Friday, I think the professor Dr. Imran Sheikh will told you about the anemia, about all of anemia, and I'm only one thing tell you that case shape of the RBCs is small. There is a anemia, okay? And the shape of RBCs will be the large. It means again एनीमिया अगर if shapes large odd shape का हो जाएगा तो कैपिलरी में एंटर नहीं होगा, रप्चर्ड हो जाएगा. दिस इज आल्सो एनीमिया, यानी कि आपकी लाइसिस हो रही है, रप्चर्ड हो रही है, आपकी कैपिलरी में वेसल्स में जा नहीं रही. दूसरा बहुत ही नैरो होगा, अगर माइक्रोसाइटिक होगा, छोटा सा होगा साइज से, अपनी बाइकॉनकेव शेप डिसलाइक शेप नहीं होगा, वो छोटा होगा, तो भी वो लाइसिस हो जाएगा क्योंकि वो मेच्योर ही नहीं होगा. तो दोनों सूरतों में ये आपकी एनीमिया होती है. शेप सही नहीं हो, मेंटेन नहीं हो, हाइपोक्रोमिक हो, या हम कहते हैं माइक्रोसाइटिक हो. ठीक है, माइक्रोसाइटिक छोटा सा होता है बिल्कुल शेप, और जो हाइप्रोक्रोमिक हो तो बड़ा होता है साइज. ये टर्मिनोलॉजी में आपको डिटेल में लिख के दूंगी. व्हाट इज हाइपरक्रोमिक, व्हाट इज हाइपोक्रोमिक, व्हाट इज नार्मोसाइटिक, व्हाट इज नार्मोक्रोमिक. Normocytic means normal in shape. Normochromatic means normal in hemoglobin present in the RBCs. सो ये यहाँ पे हम रिपोर्ट पढ़ते हैं जब भी, तो ये लिखा होता है आरबीसीज आर द नार्मोसाइटिक एंड नार्मोक्रोमिक, मीन्स नॉर्मल साइज के हैं, नॉर्मल शेप के हैं, लेकिन एनीमिया तो फिर भी है उसमें। तो दीज आर द डिफरेंट रीजंस, जो एनीमिया क्यों है, कैसे होती है, किस टाइप्स की होती है, नॉर्मोक्रोमिक क्या है, ये डॉक्टर इमरान शेख आपको बताएंगे। ठीक है, अभी आई थिंक थोड़ा टाइम है, बहुत ही पहले हमारा टाइम बहुत हो गया है यूज। So normally 75% of the cells in the bone marrow belong to the WBC series called myeloid series, and 25% are the RBC series called erythroid series. ठीक है, प्लेरिपोटेंशियल स्टेम सेल्स होती है जो हमारी प्रोडक्शन करती है, या हेमेटोपोइटिक स्टेम सेल्स होती है, उसको हम बोन मेरो कहते हैं, हेमेटोपोइटिक स्टेम सेल। दे आर केपेबल द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ ऑल टाइप्स ऑफ द ब्लड सेल्स। फिर उसमें से हम नाम निकालते हैं सीरीज वाइज, जैसे इरिथ्रॉइड सीरीज से आरबीसी प्रोडक्शन होते हैं। दूसरी माइलाइट सीरीज होती है, उसमें सारे डब्ल्यूबीसी के टाइप, जैसे इजिनोफिल से, बेजोफिल से, मोनोसाइट से, मैक्रोफेजेस से, ये सारे माइलाइट सीरीज से बनते हैं। तो bone marrow is responsible for the production of the all cells of the body known as the hematopoietic stem cells, as well as the erythroid series and the myeloid series. So हम सम अप करते हैं अपने लेक्चर को, टाइम हो गया है, टाइम इज अप। तो सम अप इस तरह से करेंगे। अ, जब समराइज करते हैं लेक्चर्स, तो उसमें थोड़ी सी इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें बताते हैं कि आरबीसीज में क्या क्या चीजें, जैसे आरबीसीज आल्सो कॉल्ड एरिथ्रोसाइट्स। आई एम समराइज द माय लेक्चर। So, RBC is also called erythrocytes. They are the predominant cells type. They are responsible for the transport of the oxygen from the lungs to the body's tissue and remove the carbon dioxide in the reverse direction. So erythrocytes, like known as a typical structure, they have no organelles and no nucleus. This means they cannot the regenerate, cannot they synthesize new proteins, and can't use the oxygen barrier. So we can say that erythrocytes have homocyte donut shape by concave surface. This unique shape due to this increased surface area from a gaseous exchange and also shape change when needed by the stimuli, a structural protein actin, spectrin, and chirin complex, which make them miscible and elastic. So this elasticity to able band fold the cell, the squeeze narrow to the enter capillary cells and spring back to the same shape for the major vessels. So the major component of the RBCs is the protein, and which is known as the hemoglobin, which is composed of the four polypeptide chains. So further we can discuss the hemoglobin in the later next lecture, but you summarize just like that. Hemoglobin, I already told you the reasons why they are not non-nucleated, why they are not have any organelles, and why they are not unable to carry oxidative reaction, why undergo they not mitosis, and why there are RBCs more in the male than the female, as well as the cell membrane of the layer of the cell membrane, three glycocalyx, lipid bilayer, and third one a membrane skeletal, and they are have got the different functions, and spectrin and chirin, main type of protein present in the cell membrane, which are responsible for the ATP and the shape maintain of the RBCs. So they are the very important proteins, and some enzymes are present in RBCs pathway, which we can say that carbonic anhydrase enzyme, which transport the carbon dioxide, and glutathione, which is reducing agent, and a glycolytic pathway and pentose phosphation, which gives the nutrition and mainly function of the oxygen. All of you know the transport oxygen from lungs to the tissue in the body, carbon dioxide from the body to the tissues. Said that hemoglobin or RBC act as a buffer, so they have need energy. And the values of the RBCs and value of the hematocrit you will see from refer from your textbook, as well as I will share with you the PPT of this lecture, and with CR or page or any groups. So don't worry about this PPT. PPT I will share you and the diagrams. So unfortunately I couldn't share you on that time, lecture time. And you must remember the erythropoiesis, erythropoietin hormone is basically released due to the stimulus of the hypoxia. Hypoxia means lack of the oxygen. Hypoxia is a basic stimulus which release the erythropoietin hormone from the kidney. फिर हाइपोक्सिया वो फिजियोलॉजिकल किसी वजह से मेल में हो या फीमेल में हो। फीमेल में प्रेगनेंसी 9 मंथ्स की होती है, फिर ठीक हो जाती है। मेल में जो होते हैं सेल्स, लेजेंड्स सेल्स होते हैं टेस्टिस के अंदर, वो उनका मेटाबॉलिक रेट हाई होता है, जिसकी वजह से वो टिश्यू बिकम्स hypoxic, they need more oxygen, and this co-stimulus release to the kidney from the erythropoietin more and more release, and ये mechanism normal है males में होता है, that's why production of RBC is more in the male. So I think you all of understand the RBCs, erythrocyte cells functions, their mechanisms, their cell membrane. If you have any questions, you can WhatsApp me, text me regarding my lecture, and don't worry.